that's assuming we can get those guys. I haven't tried. I haven't gone back to them.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you know that Friday he and I are both free.
Okay, we'll give that a shot.
Okay. You're right. You had this.
What's that?
Are you all right?
Oh, yeah. No, as a matter of fact, I'm feeling remarkably better than usual.
Oh shit. Well, let's change anything out of norm is not good.
Maybe that's where the distress is coming from.
We better hurry up and change that.
Oh, God. I got such a good night's sleep last night for the first time in months.
Wow.
Maybe that's the problem.
Good problem to have.
Life has gotten so much better since February 15th. This is just... Anyway. Yeah, if you need a better vacation planner.
Yeah, really. It was a toss between that and Disney. So.
And you chose. Yes. Oh, Lordy.
Did you study? I'm all right. I don't let them take the test because I just know I'm not going to like the answers they give me. They're going to come back and give me something that's just going to cause me stress.
One of my sons went to the dentist yesterday to check some stuff out. Boy, is his heart sinking as he's realizing that this bill comes to like $2,000. Holy.
Yeah. My wife had some work done at the end of last year, and part she had to pay was like $3,000.
Wow. So it's all impacted wisdom teeth for him, so.
This was just one tooth. So Jim, don't take it personal when I walk out on your. You need to in the middle say, was it something I said?
I'll take extreme updates and I'll only talk about that instead of the presentation anyway, and then stop.
It'll probably go over better if you do. Especially if it's shorter that way. I think for this crowd, shorter is better.
Shorter is better, yeah.
I've made sure that mine is less than 5 minutes.
Good morning, Paul. The seat's wide open by all means. Do you have $100 bill?
Normally somewhere on the end / corner.
Okay. I'll go grab a chair.
So when it warms up, I'm going to shave, but as it completely goes away, I'm going to do various
Designs?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
We'll do lightning bolts once.
Like a box logo.
Yeah, I don't like that. I do the old old box ale logo. Looked good.
With the ring.
Yeah. Gosh, I wonder who I could get to do that.
Some guy that put Ron Artest here.
I got someone. She would want to pluck each hair out. That wouldn't be good.
He was a good lawyer.
She would either force me to wax or pluck every hair.
If you want to take a barber recommendation from a bald guy, I know one who carries a pistol while he cuts hair, so.
Well, you gotta respect that.
This guy's barber shop has probably got more munitions and more ammunition than the local National Guard office does.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, he serves warrants after hours.
Risky business.
Oh, he's a piece of work. He's a guy with an attitude.
Yeah, well, let me. What's going on?
I mean, my screen, my computer needs to connect to something.
Interesting. We tested it one day for like 4 hours. It was fine. Couldn't get anything to stop working. Yeah, I'll bet. All right, go back to the analog one. That was me doing changing inputs.
Go back to the other one.
Go back to the analog cable. We'll just use that. Start the slideshow once and see if it changes. Lori had this problem during the sales thing, but we'll figure out how to correct it. Alright, stop it, unplug it, plug it back in, and then start the slideshow again. Isn't that what we did, Lori? Unplug the cable.
That's what I was thinking.
Plug it back in.
We made sure that we started our slideshow after.
Right, but
That's all we did. I don't know why it's still not the slides.
Try this again?
why? We didn't have much luck with it the first 2 times. What resolution are you running at on the machine when the screen's connected? We did. The only other thing is we changed the default resolution to 1024 by 768.
I actually think they cycle power to the projector.
Oh, you're on digital.
machine's fine. I just had it connected to the big screen in there. Lori had a problem with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just want to make sure the amount that you set up is,
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
the amount you set up is
And just
And I just went through it with resolution.
she said it would be approved for like 660.
There you go.
all right. It just. And don't disconnect that cable. If you disconnect that cable, plug it back in, then we have that problem again.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna basically rip it out and new stuff in. I'm really tired of it. Even though every piece of wire checked out on the tester fine.
Well, and now that means it didn't work one week, it worked another week, it didn't work another week.
Right.
It's finicky.
That was the last week's meeting. I can cross that off. Oh, that guy, Richard. Brad. Yeah, that's what I
It's on now. That's what good. A couple people use it without it being on. Basically, good.
I don't need to ship it to my shirt.
No.
Having it on somewhere nearby is the bad idea.
in the building.
Oh, we're good? Ready to go? All right, so are we online? Everybody's ready? Okay, good. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So I'm just going to be here for a short period because I got to step back out for an interview we're doing right now. So John and I will do this as quick as we can. Obviously, the updates for this week, we've got some sales leaders that are on site that we're interviewing. We also had a European sales leader / managing director, that sort of thing. She happened to be in town, so she came by for an interview yesterday as well. All right, so update on the Q1 revenue push. Congratulations to David Cook. I'm sure John will mention this, but we closed over $1 million deal this month, which is fantastic. So good work to him. We needed that. We were definitely behind. Always good work. Thank God for South American Idol. Yeah, we said South African. Yeah. And then we also have a couple other large deals that are out there, so we are hoping that those will close as well. So there's going to be a big push, and that will obviously result in a lot of work to get a lot of this premise revenue out the door, but a lot of great work going on in sales right now. So as far as the Obsession Award, this is why I wanted to make sure I was here for this. I'm very excited to give it to this person. I've worked with this person a lot. She's done a lot of great things, takes the initiative. I get compliments from her on a daily basis from almost everyone that in the company, just anyone who's interacted with her. So she's done a great job. I think she's a great Voxeon. takes the initiative to get creative with things, has done a ton of work on the positioning deck, which may give it away. And I'm so glad that she's here because I thought she was not going to be here this morning when I saw her leaving last night. But Kim Martin. So very happy to have you. There's a lot of great things you can say about her. She's done a lot, and she takes a lot of feedback and incorporates it immediately without you asking. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are it's great. So very much appreciated, and there were actually a lot of nominations that came in through you, and so I was glad that it could be done after we had completed the positioning deck. We have one last iteration we have to do to sort of put it into the final form, but definitely a lot of work that's been done there. So thank you very much. All right, with that, let's talk through some of the numbers. All right, so obviously, everybody's getting accustomed to seeing some of these things, the end of the forecasted end of month minutes, the targeted minutes that we've got to hit. So obviously there's a fairly, delta there. The forecasted revenue versus the target revenue. We also still have a delta as far as where we were last year and now what we got to try to get to. If you go to the next one. All right, so I got a slide yesterday that said we were at 3 million, and I was pretty excited about that. But we knew that couldn't be right. So there was a little bit of a problem with reconciling with Salesforce. But so we have we have a couple of deals in the pipeline that'll put us right on target for the goal. We just got to make sure that we close those. I don't want to put any additional pressure than the pressure that's already been applied to the folks that are running with those deals. So we've just got to make sure that we close them. Right now we've got to focus on closing. Q1 we knew was going to be a little bit slow. And several of the larger deals that we were hoping would close in Q1, inevitably the decision process got pushed out. So we're spending a lot of time figuring out how to make sure that we are all over. And I was just in an interview, the guy called it smothering the deal. Whatever it is that the sales rep needs to make sure that we're smothering those opportunities and making sure we're closing them. It's definitely something we need to be doing. And there's going to be a huge amount of focus on that because we got a ways to go to get to the predictability that we're trying to drive to this year. But definitely we've picked it up and shored up some of the gaps. So that's very good. Thanks to the sales reps for that. So if we go to the next one, we can just talk through the big one, which is obviously the Oscar Telecom. Then we also had another large deal that was the University of Maryland School of Medicine, which we were very happy. So congrats to Nick for closing that one. That was another $100K, which really helped a lot. So good to him. And I mean, it's a pretty big first week of the month, and we don't typically have those sorts of numbers up there. So I expect that list will get longer and larger as we get towards the end of the month, which is good news. And then over Q2, there will be a lot more big deals on there. I also want to say thanks to the new junior sales reps. I know that they are jumping in, getting their feet wet, doing things, already working on cold calling and opportunities. And then Nick Langoff also is really getting involved, doing whatever he can. So if he comes to ask you about what's happening with install base customers, those sorts of things, please give him as much information as you can because we've really got to get moving on growing the installed base and getting him introduced to as many customers as possible. So all good stuff. With that, I will pass it off to you.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Dan, could you go back 2 slides? Next one. Sorry. Yeah, all right. Just a quick lesson in graphics and how you present information. So if you look at the visual on this, it looks like, we're about 1/3 of goal, right? If you don't look at the numbers on the side. Does everybody see that, right? Okay. And the thing is that the scale starts at 1.25. So the difference here is really about 10%. So in the future, I might ask that we keep a consistent scale across all the graphs as we go through. So we're not anywhere near as bad as one might appear from this chart. Okay.
It's meant to
We just had to keep battling a little jab.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun sometimes.
Well, it's this kind of thing that Excel is going to create these things for you automatically unless you realize what it is that you're presenting. Okay, next. The next one here. Okay, so definitely Oscar Telecom. This is a great deal for us. I don't know if anybody's going to have to fly to South Africa to help get this thing deployed, but it could be a possibility. They are planning to send people back here for more training, and they think that they will be doing more business with us over time. They have more contracts with the South African Broadcasting Corporation beyond this one, so we do expect more business out of them. Some of the other quick updates on things that are going on. Securus, we had a great visit here. They confirmed they really liked the visit, and now we need to really be smothering them. They, however, are in the middle of a a large new deployment of their own software, and they have asked to kind of hold off on anything until March 22nd, at which time they intend to fully engage, and hopefully we'll be able to move a purchase to closure before the end of the month. So Nick is good at closing things at the end of the quarter, so we're going to put it in his hands to make that happen. First Data, quick update. They are beginning negotiating with us now on pricing for this first deployment with the Hyatt. So that does appear to be moving on track, and I think we're engaged and moving down the aisle pretty quickly on that one. So we need to get married on this one, and that will then put us in a position where they won't be able to get us out of there. So we won't be able to get divorced on that one. So that's moving ahead pretty well, and it's a 9 million minute per year deployment. So it's pretty substantial. Aircom, just to clarify, we did lose the first deal that they thought they had in the bag. I think they were a bit overconfident with their account control of this particular customer, which is a government-related entity within Ireland, so they kind of feel like they have a lock on it. And I think they were a little too, well, they priced the product in a way that was going to fund future deployments. And I think they were trying to carve too much out of that particular customer, overcharge them, in other words, a little bit too much. And somebody came in there with a lower price, and Aircom lost. So it's unfortunate because that was going to be the platform where we could build on. We're just going to have to find another customer together in order to make that happen. But we certainly haven't lost Aircom's allegiance to getting Boxeo on. They definitely want the Genesis platform out. And in fact, I think they lost this to their former partner who they haven't been able to get along with lately, and I think that former partner probably had some inside information which aided them. Our tangents, that we should be able to get that one done. This is one of those that is dependent on what the delivery folks can do. We need the QA to finish testing this third-party TTS engine, which would be a new engine that we would support, and I think it's pretty much in process. We're going to hear from Sergey in a day or two about that one. So once that's done, we will be able to execute a sale for $40,000 immediately, and they will be signing a VAR agreement, which would be a $400,000 commit. So that will definitely help the bookings. On the leads front, things are looking pretty good. This was the bump from the trade show, but otherwise leads are still holding steady, and we're continuing to dig into why that's the case, why we've had some upswing here, what's it related to, website or other activity. So that's really it for the update. I will say there are other deals going on. I'm not going to go into all that detail now. We'll catch up with that after the end of this month, because this month the rest of the sales reporting is really going to be focused on closing the quarter. Okay. What's up?
All right, just set it on the table. Okay. I don't need to wear that. All right. Yes. Hey, this is Deb Zebra for the Culture Crew, the big dog. Aroo! Today is March the 10th, 2010. Birthdays today include actor and martial artist Chuck Norris. And I will not be talking about any other birthdays today because I'm afraid Chuck Norris will send me a roundhouse kick. Whoosh! Hey, so happy birthday, Chuck! Everyone smile and nod just to be safe. Because if you see Chuck Norris, you should worry about getting a roundhouse kick. Whoosh! And if you don't see Chuck Norris, it's when you should really worry. And I don't see Chuck Norris right now, so look out! Okay, that was close. Anyway, the winter of 2010 is almost over. And when spring gets here, we plan on lots of fun events from your local Culture Crew teams. Beijing and Cologne and Orlando are all getting ready for winter to just be over already. As strange as it seems, we here in Orlando actually had a winter this year. It got cold, it rained, it even got frosty. Brrr. So what happened to all that global warming that Al Gore promised us? Somehow global warming makes it colder in Florida in the winter. That doesn't make sense to me, but I'm no meteorologist. Although I did see a meteor shower once. Does that count? And I did visit the meteor crater in Arizona once. Does that count? And I do like a meteor hamburger. I know that don't count. don't like a cold hamburger for sure. And there were times this winter where I darn near froze my buns off. Anyway, let's look back in history to a time where global warming wasn't such a chilling issue. On this date, in 1862, the first paper money was issued in the United States. The denominations they issued were $5, $10, and $20. And they all featured a picture of Chuck Norris. Okay. On this date in 1891, a milestone in telephony automation. Where? In Topeka, Kansas. Who? An undertaker. No, not the wrestler. Almond Stroger patented what? The Stroger switch. He got the idea while contemplating the Chuck Norris roundhouse kick. Whoosh! Hey, which sent many a customer his way. Anyway, the Stroger switch led to the automation of telephone circuit switching. That was a big event in telephony. But wait, there's more. On this date, in 1876, 134 years ago today, Alexander Graham Bell, just 1 week after his 29th birthday, made the first successful telephone call. You see, Chuck Norris was visiting Alexander in his lab and asked him for a beverage. Alex nervously glanced around, but there was nothing in the lab to quench the massive thirst of Mr. Norris. Alex started to panic, but then he realized that his assistant Watson was relaxing just down the hall in the parlor. And that's where they kept the booze. In the liquor cabinet, hidden behind a curtain, right between the bookcase and the piano. Alex needed to get Watson's attention, but he didn't want to startle Chuck by shouting out to Watson, and he certainly didn't want to leave Chucky alone in the lab with all the breakables and the constant threat of the roundhouse kick. Whoosh! So Alexander grabbed his new device he had been working on and calmly spoke into it. "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." And bum, bum, bum. History was made. Telephony was born. And now here we are, 134 years later, and every day when I get home from work, I walk into my house through the front door and I cry out, "Watson, come here, I need you." To which my dog Watson replies, "Aroo!" That's it this week for the Culture Crew. Chuck, next. And with that, Dev's leaving. See ya.
All right, Chuck Norris got nothing on us. There's a reason why it says support kicks ass down at our end of the building, so he should be afraid, very afraid. Quick update, documentation. As you all know, we started the quarter out. We were wrapping up the new docs for Voice Objects 9.1. And as that gets finished, what Beata's working on now is taking our designer docs and integrating those with the voice object docs, or at least getting our language to be the same, so we call the same things the same words in both documents. So the rest of Q1, early part of Q2, we're going to be getting designer brought up to the same level of voice objects. Customer updates. We got a couple of things that were flying around here. Yesterday, some of you may have seen a news announcement for Blackboard where they bought SafetyNet. SafetyNet has a product called Alert Now. And the first indications yesterday is that one of our biggest customers was buying a platform that's competitive to us. So that kind of caught our attention. But we had a chat with their exec management yesterday, and it turns out that what Blackboard was actually doing was buying one of their competitors. Alert Now does about 40% of this traffic that Blackboard does, and by buying them up, what they're planning on doing is taking that traffic into Blackboard and then running it out on Blackboard's vendor set, so one of which is us, of course. So as Deanna was saying to us ever so happily yesterday, this should be no work for Voxeo, but increased minutes. So that sounds good to us. There's also a desire for them to expand their language set, because what Alert now does is they do a lot of outbound messages in different languages. Now, to get Blackboard up to where they can run all those languages, we need them really up on P9. So now we're taking a look at taking them from P7 to P8 to P9 immediately.
What about the SMS component of the person they buy? Are they interested in using SMS?
Yeah, that's all to be discussed. Charles Cheroux, if you guys remember him, is the guy that's on his way over to North Carolina to talk to SafetyNet about what they're doing and how they do it and how to integrate it in with us. And he's a friend of ours. So more to follow as we go forward with that. In terms of other customers, Hey Group, if you might remember, they did the shared hosted VO. They do employee surveys once a year. So they come, they do a lot of work, then they go away. Well, they came, they did a lot of work, we got them up, we got them ready. And unfortunately, their email invitation for the surveys went out with a phone number that didn't belong to them, belonged to somebody else. Westborg by AT&T. That was great panic. They came in and asked us if we could move the number, not so much. So they changed their email address. And the rest of it was going so well, they sent us an email yesterday saying it's gone flawlessly. Aclaris is another big company that we're doing business with. They're out in Tampa. We had two problems in the course of the last couple of days. One was a VO reporting problem, our fault, fixed. The other was a problem on their side. They used the application to send help tickets to themselves, and one application wasn't running, their fault, fixed. But we're not sure. On the surface, this account looks like it's in good shape, and under the surface, maybe not so much. So I think either Paul or I or both of us are going to go out there and go talk to these guys just to see how things are going. Comcast, we've got 5 different projects going on with these guys. We've got over $5 million of new revenue we could pick up if we get this thing all landed. I'm only going to talk about 1 or 2 of the projects. The big one is what they call the DTA project. They did a load test, kind of surprised us. They said, hi, we're just going to turn on some traffic and see what happens. Well, it didn't work. It turns out we had a setting that we needed to change. We changed it, came back, told them, give it a run now. It ran fine. It worked. There's one little hiccup, though. They're getting no resource timeout errors from their server at their end. So now we need to talk to them about having a higher quality VPN connection over to those guys. They've got another one that's kind of curious. They've got a voice-activated dialer project. 4K of characters is not big enough for their URLs, so they need 8K. Think about that. So we're in the process of giving them 8K and running it through QA. Let's see, that's it for customers. Then in terms of operations, just a quick update on ops. February was the first month we ever ran over 1,000 tickets in a month. That's in a 28-day month. And the guys kept the backlog down to under 25%, which is our goal. Very good. Response time performance stayed at 99.5%, which is extraordinary given what they were getting hit with. Our live chat NPS scores hangs around 80%. Now, that's over a 49-week period. We could, if we wanted to be a little bit misleading, we could argue that we have hit 100% NPS, more than once. We've done it twice. But that's on a one-week basis. But over 49 weeks, we've taken in 1,129 surveys. We've had 938 promoters and only 43 detractors. All things considered, pretty darn good. And then the last bit for a recruiting update, Matt's gone through over 200 resumes so far for permanent full-time hires. This is not counting the extra people we interviewed for interns. And out of the 200 resumes, we pared this down to 22 folks that we're going to do phone interviews with. Out of the phone interviews so far, we've found about 4 people that we would like to bring in for an on-site. And I think Matt and the team of guys are basically going to redefine what the word hazing means when they bring these guys in for the on-site. There's simulated live chats the person will be put through, simulated tickets they'll be put through, and they'll be sent home with an assignment to write an app, run it, pull the logs, send their homework back in, and we'll grade their homework on the quality of the app and how well they handled all of this stuff. If they pass that, then we do top grading. So by the time we get these guys in here, whoever we get is going to be an A player par excellence. And that's it for us. if they survive.
They'll be retired, but we'll hire them.
I'm on vacation day 3. All right, real quick update on a few things. Best Companies in Florida survey went out, I think, last week. Just a reminder for those of you in the Orlando office, those have to be back in Friday. If you haven't taken the time to go through that survey, it takes, 5-10 minutes. Again, I mentioned this before, answer honestly. We really want the feedback. We want to know what's good and what's bad. But that needs to get done before Friday for everyone. If you're planning to participate, please do so. Spent a lot of time recruiting. Anna and John are in another room right now, talking to an SVP sales candidate. Spent some time there. Have posted a couple new positions this week, and have also been starting to look for another project manager to help with some of the engineering and NetOps projects that are going on. That's really back burner, kind of slow going, but takes some time to get these things spun up. So that's starting. And the last thing I'll mention is the 2010 culture deck is a lot of the thoughts that we've had around, what makes a great Voxeon, what are we promoting, how do we, as a company, want to behave. It's been kicking around for a while. Got that through final draft. Needs to get a couple more stamps of approval, and then we'll be sharing that. And we may actually take the time. It's a really long deck, so we'll send it out to everyone. But we may take the time and go through sections of it as part of my update in upcoming all hands. But that's it for me this week.
So keep this one quick as well. For engineering, this week one of the big milestones, we actually got the flash phone work that Neil's doing with Backpoint. That's actually running in widget form right now. We've actually integrated the Speaks codec right now, and that's actually functioning well enough that we look forward to getting rid of the asterisks in that exercise. Alex is also now working on trying to replace Red 5 with a open source RTMP library. He's currently targeting, I think, kind of end of quarter-ish to try and have that done, and at that point we can actually get rid of Red 5 and asterisks in our kind of flash phone solution. I believe Alex is in the this is all crap and it will never work phase of development right now. So I estimate. Yeah, okay. So this is crap and won't scale phase, which probably means we're 2 to 3 days away from full completion and functionality. On the Splunk front, we've actually got 2 things going on. We actually had a little bit of success with 64-bit Splunk with Silverlink. They really liked it. Unfortunately, we actually deployed that as kind of a aftermarket patch. We were delivering P8 with 32-bit Splunk and P9 with 32-bit Splunk, and Silverlink's testing P9, and they didn't like the performance. They didn't like how it was working. They tried Splunk 64-bit. They really liked it, and they said, great, give us a build of that. And, well, that's kind of tough because it's 32 and 64. And so we're trying to figure out some packaging for that, but we did have some really good success with 64-bit Splunk. Also, RJ's out today doing a partner presentation with the Splunk guys, just to the general community on how Voxeo uses Splunk in our network, and it's kind of a good outreach and neat project there. On the subversion front, we're actually still working on the multi-site subversion deployment. I know there's a number of different folks, both in Beijing and Cologne, who are waiting on that. That's progressing. Working on security and everything else, also integrating ClockPoint's libraries. And then the clock there, we're continuing to do a lot of performance work, trying to hit our targets both on the SBC front and the straight VCS front. Stefan's working on a lot of little performance details for both 1,000 port targets and then like 3,000 port SBC targets. So that's it for engineering for the week. Yep.
All right. This is Paul from Network Operations. This week, working with Mr. Gray from Finance, we got ourselves compliant with the U.S.-EU Safe Harbor framework. And what that's about is when you're doing business in the European Union, you have to make sure that you are compliant with this framework relative to data privacy standards. And basically, it's a self-certification process. You say, we have a privacy policy. We communicate it to all employees. By the way, we have a privacy policy.
Thanks for communicating.
Yeah, not a problem. Good. Thanks for picking up on that. Appreciate that.
So you can't see the terms because that's part of the policy.
Right. They're private, exactly. And then you have to have a complaint procedure, and we've put all that in place. And I think we've also worked with Denny in Ryan's organization, making it part of the newbie training program. So the picture behind it, just in case you're wondering, is Monterey Harbor. I think that's a safe harbor too, but thought I'd share that with you. Kaspersky, we're moving forward with the antivirus. It's come out of QA. We're going to try it on a flat ops box, then put it in staging. And just to repeat, what we're doing there is putting this AV stuff on the box. It won't be running while the box is in production. When we want to do the scan, we will take the box out of routing, take it out of production. We will scan it, remediate if required, and put it back into production. That's to help us with our escalation of PCI compliance, if I can word it that way. Right now, we are self-certified as a PCI compliance strategy. We want to get certified by a third-party auditor. That's one of the big steps remaining. Lastly, interesting story with LSI and MedSage. Some of you may have heard that MedSage had another, what looked like a couple of drives failure, and we got Andre on the case. And turns out that the problem is that LSI firmware bug that I mentioned a week or two ago, in addition to the Western Digital hardware disk drive that we had. So 2 firmware bugs. They were bit by both. But what's really interesting about the MedSage problem is Phil and Andre were on a call with MedSage, and apparently they've got a configuration very similar to what we have for them in hosting on their premise. They have a server, they've got a Western Digital drive, they've got the LSI controller, and they've got CentOS as the operating system. And guess what Matt Teagarden told them? We're having the same problem. No kidding. LSI firmware bug. So hopefully that will go a long way towards solving MedSage's continuing problems with disk drives. That's it from network operations.
Morning, everyone. This is Tony with the finance team, picking up on something that Paul said about that policy he communicated to everybody. There's a travel policy that we have, right? Yeah. And for those of you who travel, it's located out on our HR Connection website, right? And it actually says that when you submit your expense report to the finance team, it should have your supervisor's signature on it. And it's kind of an odd thing, I understand. But I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to fill this whole time up with travel stuff. Guys, we get a lot of expense reports that supervisors either maybe have seen and haven't signed or have never seen. That's not a good thing, all right? So even if it's an email, yep, I saw his expense report, I approve it, and forward that to finance, that works. I understand, not everybody can get to their boss. Some are remote. Some of them travel all the time. I get it. That's fine. But we got to have some type of an approval, even if it says, yep, saw his expense report, I approve it. That's all I'm going to say on that for now. Maybe take up another week with the whole travel expense report thing. Revenue, February revenue, not quite what we wanted, $2.2 million. What we're missing there is quite honestly premise revenue, right? Not a lot of it there. Compared to a year ago, we had $2.4 million. You could look at a lot of things when you say, what's the difference? Minutes were higher this year. Minute revenue is about the same. That has a lot to do with the fact that some of our larger customers have, lower pricing now. I think 3 of them renewed contracts last year for better pricing than they had a year prior to that. So that's part of it. The other part of it is in Voxeo, Germany, we had some professional service revenue a year ago that didn't quite match up this year. So a number of things. All in all, though, our biggest revenue gain or opportunity is in premise. So March will look a little bit different. Financial audit's still going on. Auditors are still here. Hope you guys are still treating them like crap. No surprises so far. They're going along. We got to have our state and federal return, or at least extensions, done by Monday. Natalie's scrambling to get that stuff done. Shut-off notices, Fallon says they're going to go out today. That's like, just a monthly thing that we do. And there's going to be a lot of them. Paul already mentioned the safe harbor filing, and of course our communications policy. February scorecards are being done. Jim, hopefully we'll get those to you maybe by the end of the week. And we're starting an expense review, kind of looking at where all the expenses are within Voxeo, where we may have opportunities to save some dollars. So, don't be surprised if that expense report comes back tonight. I don't know. Maybe that'll be an opportunity. No, I'm kidding. But we are going to look at all of our expenses. see where we might find some opportunity, and we're going to start with carrier costs.
You're not kidding.
Well, maybe. See you guys next week.
Thank you for the contribution.
All right. Dan York, can you hear me down there?
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, Tony, I got a few of those expensive reports of my own to send in there. I'll have to do that. So up here, building on Dev's theme, it's spring up here. For you folks in Florida to understand what it means to us up here, it was about 23 degrees when I walked my daughter to school this morning, and it'll rise to about 50 during the middle, 53 during the middle of the day, and that's great for us. We're loving it up here. It's also perfect maple syrup making weather, and that's a big thing up in these parts. Anyway, on the conversations team this week, one of the items I have up here is it shows the screen from Google Analytics. As John mentioned back at the beginning, we're spending a lot of time trying to look at kind of what's helping this trend in the leads that we're seeing, the increase that we're seeing going on, because we are seeing a general trend, and that's good. But what we want to do is we want to try to figure out, is there a magic smoking gun, or something we can do to start that if we just do more of it, we'll be able to go and increase that lead count even more. So far, both my own digging and that of an outside team, Para Analytics, that we use, they've both found that they're not. There's no magic silver bullet here. It's all just kind of incremental stuff. But we're still looking. We're still digging into it, trying to see what we can do, and pushing along on that. Another item up there, the Voxeo Customer Summit. I talked about it last week. We looked at a number of different things, schedules, timing, all of that, and have decided to push it out into June. So the new dates are June, I have it as 21 to 23, but it's in that week. You'll see more about that coming up. We're going to be asking you all to talk to your customers, those of you who interact with customers, and we'll be having a registration form and webpage coming up soon. The Teleworks case study I mentioned last week, but I want to tell you all that it is now up on the case studies page. If you aren't aware of that, or if you aren't directing people to it, it's a wonderful page. It's up there, voxeo.com/about/case studies or case dash studies, but it's off the main menu as well, and it's got all of our different case studies. This one's a really cool one. It's with our partner Teleworks, about a company called Harris Computer Systems, and it's got a bit of inbound, outbound, hosted hybrid. It's a good case study to be showing people. The Cloud Camp, I want to just mention this. This is an event that Adam Calci is going to this weekend up in Vancouver, and it's kind of a symbol of a number of the different events that he's going to be doing as part of our developer outreach, going to these smaller events where there are opportunities to really talk to the developers face-to-face and explain what we do, explain our offerings, talk about how they can use it, and really get them excited to go out and tell other developers, which is the developer outreach component of what we do is a much more viral and small-scale kind of thing that we're working on. So that'll be something he's doing. And finally, I'll wrap it up with, if you have seen or heard about, there was an article that went up in DestinationCRM.com that talked about leaders in the space, and we were highly rated as a leader, except for the fact that they dunned us on. They said we had the second lowest customer satisfaction of all of the leaders. And in digging into it, we found that what did they do? They went around and asked a bunch of analysts to rate the companies, and built their rankings from that. Didn't talk to customers. Talk to analysts about the customers. So anyway, we're digging into seeing what we can do to have them say something else, or how we can respond to that, what we can do. But that's one of the downsides of what we're dealing with right now. But that's all from conversations. I'm going to go back and enjoy that beautiful 50-degree spring weather coming up.
Yep.
Great. So first of all, pre-sale stuff. We have done a few adjustments this week on our offering for J.D. Williams in the UK. So we hope to get final information how that project goes, and if we are selected at the end of the week. Also, we are doing a webinar for Volkswagen Financial Services. This is the bank which belongs to the car maker. And they get kind of an overview of all our Eclipse offering. They are still working primarily with our web product, and they are fairly interested into the embedded grammar tool that we have packaged in the VO product. So they are moving from OSR to Nuance. They need to do a lot of grammar conversion stuff So very interested how they can utilize this. On the partnership side, big focus this week is on Savio in the UK. We are renewing the contract, the partnership contract. So they're looking both into a VAR and an OEM relationship, and we are down to the path where we do the final adjustments in the contract. For Citibank, we delivered through our partner, Robert Cast, survey application to the contact center group in Spain. Also on the T-Mobile Austria side, their speech project was kind of enhanced by another project with a pure DTMF only layer, so that folks can switch between touchtone and ASR usage as an end user. So this project has been reached the second payment milestone, which was just on-time delivery through our partner 2 steps ahead, and we're looking for the final rollout in late May, early June this year. Also, I personally see a lot of traction in the Central European region, specifically with a couple of new potential partners. We're talking to a company called Incas. They do hosted contact center in the German-speaking area. They are highly interested to take a look both in prophecy as a potential premise deployment, as well as into our hosted offer. They also have a couple of interesting carriers they're working with their own hosting, so that might be an opportunity to get recommendations how we can further improve our telco connectivity in the German market. The other one is Nextera One, Germany. Nextera is a kind of spin-off of Alcatel. They primarily are the implementer of Genesis products, again in the German market. They do work with, on the low end, with other IDR companies. They are unhappy with those folks they're working with, and they're also taking a closer look on what we can bring to them, specifically with prophecy. Esenta is a partner, implementation partner worldwide, about 150 people for SAP, CRM, and their contact center products. So they are also interested to enter a closer partnership with Voxeo. A few other things, T-Mobile Czech, we are still on site with Jens, providing support and doing project reviews. This was like a 2-week engagement, so Jens is still on site this week. T-Mobile Netherlands, we have done a couple of workshops and conferences on their final architecture. This is going to be a joint architecture for both Austria and Netherlands. But Netherlands is interesting for us because it's going to be a new project, so new license revenue and new service revenue for this year. And finally, David has signed up a kind of hosting offering on the VO side based on a managed server agreement and prepaid SSA for the University College of Dublin. So this is going to be installed this week. We had a couple of delays through server shipments from the US to the UK data center. So I think there's lots of improvements I think I will address next week in Orlando. But we hope to get everything up and running, hopefully, late today or maybe tomorrow. That's it.
Hi, this is Kevin calling from Beijing. And on the pre-sales front, following up with the previous engagement, we'll continue with the ICM integration project for one of the regional telco here in China, and we're trying to put together a ICM proxy integration and try to get that working this week. And we probably need some real-time support on this because we just don't have the technical knowledge on how to do a full-blown ICM integration. It's a lot more complex than I initially thought it would be. So, and we also helped out on the SIP method sales engineering front on one of the SIP presence project for Middle East. And it was a good project. It was essentially like they understand all the standards that we support, Open Mobile Alliance, as well as simple standards. So overall, it was a good match. On the partnership front, PCCW Solutions, that's the big fish down here, and we're still chasing after that. It's in contracting stage, which we hopefully can get the move away from the contract in the near future. And also we're planning on training for their pre-sales guys. One of the, they're asking us a lot of very specific questions. For example, they just showed me 2 Edify applications on phone bankings, and they were asking me how to demonstrate how to migrate those onto VO so that they can do IVR consolidation in the future. Those are just very, very specific questions that I don't think any of us have done before. So that's, we got to do whatever it takes to make this partnership work, because they really represent the best chance we got for the high-end enterprise customers. Some of the technical issues that exist over here that we probably need more help from other part of the company is on the ICM integration and proposing more specific application migration proposal to the banking customers. And also we stopped talking. We had a conversation going on with Centersoft in Korea. That conversation stopped recently just because they were getting $130 port from Inbox, and we couldn't really. That's just a price we couldn't really match. They were the main distributor for Inbox in Korea. I had about a 3-month ongoing conversation with them on a weekly basis, but the pricing point they were asking for is just probably too low for us to match. That's all there is. Thank you.
All right, cool. I'm going to do the update for labs real quick. Basically, last week the highlights were launching of the new website, which we have been working on for a while. Thank you. You're there. Mostly a cosmetic facelift, but there are a couple of highlights in there, like the How It Works page. Kind of gives you an introduction of the platform. It's got a cool video that Adam put together. And the docs are now integrated into the site, so you kind of doesn't feel like you're leaving the site to go look at the docs. Today and probably into tomorrow, I'm going to do a real big push on cleaning up some of the docs, especially on the Tropo scripting side. There are some parts where it's just flat out wrong. So I'm going to go in and kind of do a truth check on the documentation, but also work on a user guide to kind of complement the API documentation. Because so far we focus mostly on, what are the real technical things that Tropo can do, so you can call, you can transfer, you can do all this stuff. But we haven't really spent much time describing what the Tropo programming model is like and what it was inspired by and why we think it's awesome. So I'm going to focus on that. And lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about Crust. For those of you who don't know what Crust is, it's a weird name. We're probably going to change the name before we open source it because JT doesn't like it. But basically, it is a foundation technology that Beijing is working on that it promises to unify the 2 big Java technology standards that SIP-method is based on. JSR 289, which is all the SIP stuff, and JSR 309, which is all the media stuff. And, in Sun's, I guess, infinite wisdom, they've decided to put 2 completely different groups in charge of each one of those specifications. So they have very different programming models. So if you were to try to create, for example, rewrite voice XML on top of these technologies, you'd have a really hard time because the media stuff would have to be written one way and then the signaling stuff would have to be written a completely different way. Crust provides a unified programming model that we're going to use internally, at least initially at Voxeo, to basically rewrite our browsers on top of that. And again, this is going to take time, but the advantage of doing that and why it's so important to the future of the Voxeo technology stack is that we solve problems once. So if support reports the fact that there's some funky way in which we're fetching documents through the squids that don't honor certain SSL headers or certain content negotiation headers, we fix that once in Crust, and everyone reaps the benefits. Designer reaps the benefits, voice XML reaps the benefits, CCXML, basically anything written on top of Crust would reap the benefits from that. And as we start, Right, and not only that, but not only we fix bugs once, but we make sure that we have consistent behavior across all the browsers as well. Because that's the other annoying thing is, one thing is, well, VoiceXML has a feature that CCXML doesn't. That's fine, we can put that on the roadmap. But what really sucks is when one behaves differently from the other and in very subtle ways. So, the promise is to basically eliminate that. As with many things in the network, Trapo is going to be the guinea pig for Crust. I'm actually going to disappear for a couple of days next week and port Trapo over to Crust, and then work closely with Beijing in the lead up to Ecom to have a first rev of Trapo that's built on top of the Crust technology. And what we plan on doing is announcing at Ecom basically a full open communication suite that's based on SIP method 10, which will not be open source, but since it's based on open standards, you can easily plug in a MobiSense or a SailFin or something like that. And then a full open source suite of frameworks on top of that, including Crust and Trapo itself. So basically, come Ecom, which is basically a month from now, you'll be able to go to the lab's website and download a small zip file, and basically it'll include SIP method plus lightweight version of our media server, and then a full open source stack of Crust and Trapo on top of that, which means you can run Trapo on premise if you wanted to, but also you have the full power of Crust at your disposal, and you'll be able to do basically anything you can do in CCXML and VoiceXML all with one API. So if you guys are actually interested in playing with that ahead of time, just send me an email or something like that. And I don't actually have it working myself, but I will hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then as I start getting builds together, you guys are welcome to play along with it. Maybe add some documentations. Basically, what we plan on doing is tipping up an open source page on GitHub and then linking to that from the labs page. We may end up using Google Code, though. And if you guys have a bias or suggestions one way or another, let me know, because we're kind of torn right now. Google Code seems to be better for Java projects, but GitHub seems to have more tools, basically, for hosting big projects. So that's basically the labs update.
It exists,
but it's basically a year old. It's like,